First, tonight, President Bola Tinubu has appointed new heads for Nigeria's intelligence agencies following the resignation of their predecessors. Mohammed has been named the new Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, that's the NIA, replacing Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, who resigned over the weekend after serving 2 administrations. Now, Adeola Ajayi has also been appointed the Department of State Services Director General. Ajayi, a career intelligence officer, will replace Yusuf Bichi, appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2018. Ajayi has held several key positions nationwide, including State Director in Bauchi, Enugu, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kogi. His most recent role as Assistant Director General of the DSS. Now, those appointments come as Nigeria is witnessing a resurgent insecurity crisis. President Tinubu has called on the new appointees to strengthen collaboration with other security agencies to address these security challenges. Let's bring in Salihu Dantata Mahmood, a security expert and Director of Security at 3-in-1 Salute Nigeria Initiative. Good to see you, and thanks for your time. Now, I think the best place for us to start this conversation should be perhaps being a security expert, what you think may have warranted the sack and appointments of new security chiefs for the 2 agencies.
Well, let's start from the NIA, that is Abubakar Rufai, who initially said it was due to family issues that he resigned until some issues came out that he was compelled to resign. Then that of the DSS, I think it came a natural way, because normally, whether in the military, police, paramilitary, or the intelligence agencies, it lies on the president and commander-in-chief to hire and fire. And I think that of the NIA took a new twist when it was like a personal resignation. And we know historically since independence, it hasn't been so. No chief executive officer in government, permanent secretary, minister, or what have you, has ever tendered voluntary resignation. So I think for NIA, don't forget, aftermath of Oke's, Ikoyi scandal, even though he was later exonerated by the EFCC and asked to be brought back and it refused. Then Dauda also, court reinstated Dauda, and till Buhari administration, terminated, he was not brought back. But for the DSS, I think after the removal of Lawal Daura by acting President Osibanjo, Bichi had stayed there, and in civil intelligence, it lived up to expectations. So I think its exit is not, accompanied with any controversy like that of the NIA. And Rufai had stayed there for 5-year term, and there has been allegation of financial misappropriation and what have you. Time shall tell if that can be unraveled. So I think it is natural. Don't forget, when Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu took over as president and commander-in-chief, he stayed for some months with Buhari's service chiefs before he relieved them of an appointment and appointed Taurid Lagbaja as Chief of Army Staff, Ogala as Chief of Naval Staff and Chief of Air Staff, as well as Kayode Ogbetokun as Inspector General of Police. So for the DSS chief, people had long expected that, as well as that of the NIA chief. So I think it is natural, and it has no any tribalistic coloration or maybe bigotry or whatever. It is natural. If you are president and commander-in-chief, you need to work with aides you trust and aides you appoint. For now, Chief of Army, Naval, Air, Defense Staff, and also for others were people that were appointed by the president as well as the Inspector General of Police. So now that he has extended it to NIA and DSS, I think he has followed what ought to be done when and how.
And how significant is it that these changes are happening simultaneously? Talking about the NIA and the DSS.
Well, when you look at the NIA and DSS, they do almost the same job. The only difference is that the DSS does the domestic civil intelligence gathering, while the NIA does external intelligence gathering in high commissions, embassies, and countries they are posted to. Natural, constitutionally, and according to their rules of engagement, an NIA officer is not even supposed to be known. He is posted to our high commission abroad and embassies as a diplomat. So the moment they are not there, then you have overstayed the statutory responsibility of why you are there. While the DSS, even though they are changing tactics now, you see some of them wearing, camouflage, their strike force, while others wear suit and put in ID card. They are not supposed to be known. So why they are coming together, even though Itato, NIA was under the supervisory role of a Ministry of Foreign Affairs until they were given autonomy. DSS still remains under the Office of Permanent Secretary, General Services Office in Office of Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So you can see as civil intelligence agencies, they do almost the same thing. The only thing that differentiates them is that the other one does external, while the other one does internal. Even though in the police, you also have the SIB, CID, Department of Force Intelligence and others.
You know, Nigerians are in dire strait concerning security and they want some kind of urgent results. What can you tell us about Mohammed NIA in the days to come?
Well, going by Ambassador Mohammed's profile, he had served in volatile countries like Pakistan, Sudan, and North Korea. For anybody, whether layman in Nigeria or anywhere, when they mention North Korea, you know they are sophisticated in terms of nuclear weapon and security. When you talk of Pakistan, till date, there are certain areas in Kashmir that still have insurgents and they've been having battle with neighboring India and what have you. Then when you talk about Sudan now, it has become a failed state where two generals are fighting, that of the RDF and the other one that took power. So for him to have had that experience of serving in our embassies there to coordinate certain intelligence for Nigeria gives him a kind of edge to be able to restructure the NIA apparatus. Ordinarily, domestically, NIA officers have no business within the Nigerian terrain. All they have training expertise on is how to get certain information abroad on how the territorial integrity of Nigeria cannot be jeopardized. Look at today, from skeletal insurgents from countries like Cameroon to Taraba axis, same way from other countries in failed states like Libya, Sudan, South Sudan, coming through Burkina Faso. Of recent, some catchment of insurgents were arrested within the shores of Burkina Faso, and they were coming to Nigeria to come and carry out onslaught and all sorts of other things. So this is the task ahead of Ambassador Mohammed with his capability, with the experience he has garnered in Pakistan, Sudan, and North Korea. He should use it to capacitate them on enhanced international intelligence gathering, as well as seeing how these skeletal non-state actors that are transiting from these war-torn countries will not come and form camp in Nigeria. If you look at today, abandoned wildlife forest of Wawa in Niger State, close to Kanji, where we have the biggest dam, to Kayama local government in Kwara North, to towns like Okuta in Baruten local government, Yashikira, Ilesha. Of recent, the emir of Ilesha, a renowned professor who was Itato in Ahmadu Bello University, told a visiting commanding officer of Sobi Barracks in Ilori that if the security agencies can no longer protect us, maybe we should look for assistance of hunters, which ought not to be. Today, some of the boys of Dogo Gide, Bello Turji, are camped in abandoned wildlife forests of Wawa in Niger and also other things.
I don't mean to cut you, because now that brings us to the domestic aspect, and perhaps for someone as experienced as Adeola Ajayi, who's lived almost all his life within the DSS, how can this insider perspective or perception help to bring some kind of change and also build on what his predecessors has done so far?
Domestically, Ajayi had served in states like Kogi, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Enugu. And for anyone that knows the terrain of South-South, particularly Rivers and Bayelsa, militancy, oil bunkering, and all of others have been there. And the joint task force you have there now is a combination of the Land Army, Navy, Air Force, Police Mobile Force, Special Forces, as well as the DSS. So for him to have served in these two states before even Kogi and Enugu, that experience, I believe, it will bring them to bear where the domestic intelligence, the DSS, ought to go. If you go to local governments now, at least you can find 4 personnel and officers of DSS, even though they act codedly and also other, and that is the provisions and of their job. So I think with this experience in Rivers, Bayelsa, Kogi, Enugu. Look at Enugu, for instance. You know, presently we're having issue of IPOB and what have you, sit-at-home order. Then Kogi, you knew what happened during Yaya Bello, where the state almost became ungovernable as a result of political what have you. So these experiences, I think it will use it to put who is supposed to be here, who is supposed to be there. And one thing, Ajayi, I think with the experience in Rivers and Bayelsa, it will bring to bear is by ensuring that most of his trained undercover DSS officers are posted to states like Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, Niger, Kwara, and even southeastern states of Imo, Enugu, Abia, Ebonyi, and also of others where they are also battling with some internal security. Even though constitutionally internal security lies in the hands of the Nigerian police, but to an extension they share that responsibility with the DSS and other paramilitary agencies.
And what challenges do you foresee for these two new appointees?
Well, the challenges are, at this time that the world has evolved, in first world countries like America, Germany, Britain, and others, combat operations no longer solve terrorism-related issues, where gadgets and intelligence gathering are used. So at this time, the challenge is going for them to be, all the resources are there, all the weapons and what have you are there, for them to now resort to the use of intelligence gathering gadgets rather than physical intelligence gathering. Because these skeletal personnel and officers they post to local government, sometimes you even see them on motorcycles and they have no business riding on motorcycle. Get gun trucks, even though they are not supposed to be visible, but they have their own strike force that also wear.
No, but some will disagree because on one hand you just said that they should mingle, among society. So they can be on motorbikes, they can be at carousellers, so that's how you can actually get intelligence.
No, for the motorbikes, even though the military and others have been using that, there are situations where sometimes you need, since they have a strike force that also wear camouflage and they use some of these, like in Federal Capital Territory, periodically you see their bike, these their motorbikes, you see some ELOCs moving around. So even the Federal Capital where you have the president and higher echelons, they can do that. It means...
Mahmoud, maybe you're not getting me, so sorry to cut you here. I'm saying, but isn't it time for them to really permeate, live amongst us without us knowing who they are and gather this intelligence to help us, especially if you put this in the perspective of the war on terror and insurgency which we're dealing with even here in Abuja?
They've been doing that, but at this time I think Ajayi need to enhance on that, because most places with these guys and went to, you find out that most of their personnel officers are not even doing a lot. For Defense Intelligence Agency, military intelligence, and the police intelligence apparatus to be above that of the DSS is not it. Even though before the Kuje outbreak, don't forget the DSS gave privileged intelligence information. It was not used by office of the NSA and also of others. So I think, by 80%, like I emphasized earlier, their job is supposed to be coded. But there are certain situations where they also need physical presence. Like why I'm advocating for that use of gun truck, like NIA, for instance, if you know their headquarters from old CBN to AYA, you find ELOCs with the kind of built of gun truck packed there. That is NIA that even have external constitutional role of intelligence gathering. So what more of the one that has the domestic responsibility? So the moment your officers can have strike force and wear the camouflage, then automatically in some of the forests and bushes where these bandits are, you can also use that gun truck.
And how much of collaboration do you expect from them with the Communications and Digital Economy Ministry? Because now Nigerians are overwhelmed by kidnappers who have this conversation of ransom and the conversation with families that one wonders how is it that it's so difficult for you to track these bad guys, but it's almost easy peasy for the same security agencies to track your line and track anybody's line and even alter the connection that comes to your phone. So how can they pretty much show to Nigerians that they can nip in the bud the menace of kidnapping and ransom bargaining?
You see, the issues, if the DSS and NIA really wants to do that internally and externally, they have all the gadgets. If you go to their headquarters there are a lot of monitoring gadgets that moves kilometers and what have you. But the problem is corruption in the security circles whether combat security and intelligence gathering ones, have made most of this to be zero. In the sense, it is when it affects a governor's son, minister's wife, or so and so, which ought not to be. You can see what happened in Gobir. A whole emir of Sabon Binni was abducted for 2 good weeks, where he was even appealing and what have you. And these same non-state actors, they post things on TikTok. Of recent, I saw a small boy from one of the Zamfara bushes posted on TikTok insulting His Excellency the Governor of Zamfara State. So we have NCC, we have the NICOMSAT, and what happens to that? Like the Nigerian Air Force Intelligence, and for instance, they have a intelligence coordination center where other agencies use. So at this time, I think Ajayi should take it as matter of necessity by collaborating with the NCC, the Ministry of Digital Communication, as well as other intelligence arms of Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, and you can see the rescue operation of the medical student, about 20, between Benue and the Southeast. It was synergy and joint intelligence and combat operation that saved the lives of these 20 medical students without any casualty. We only got casualty at the part of the ringleader of the kidnappers. So if this can happen over a short period of time, then also in the FCT here at the beef of kidnap activities in Buhari and armed banditry, intrusion and what have you, the Commissioner of Police in FCT, IGP, Special Intervention Squad, the DSS, the gas brigades and other arms of the security, they joint operation and stormed the bushes of Buhari, Mpape and what have you. CPE, Ben Igwe, MNI was there, the gas brigades commander and DSS and other hunters were all there. And they rescued some of these kidnapped victims, even though they later lost that lady, the daughter of the family of among the 5 kidnapped families in Buhari from Ilori.
So before you go, what can you tell us about this tradition of rescuing, freeing anyone around Nigeria, and ultimately sometimes you bring them back to Abuja to put them before the IG and do your press conference? So what's this security tradition that you must bring some of these people that have been so rescued before the Inspector General of Police?
You see, everybody before the President and Commander-in-Chief wants to show I'm working. Mind you, we are in democracy. It's all about politics. The President himself, his service chiefs wants to show the world that we are working. If these press conferences are not held, they won't know that they are working. International investors now that wants to come with such kind of press conference, they will say yes, to some extent there is security, but to go by security provisions, especially intelligence gathering, even the aspects of holding press conference and showing the faces of those victims rescued is jeopardizing their own security. So henceforth, I think we should go according to international norms by not playing politics with security, doing what is right, when and how, because they are paid with taxpayers' money to safeguard Nigerians. And that is why over time we've called for restructuring of the entire security architecture for efficiency. If you go, some security agents like police, army, navy have stayed in cantonment, police barracks, outposts, division headquarters for more than 10 years. What are they doing there?
And Mahmoud, the last one, which has become a very sore point to the extent that every time they come out on the street, someone dies, and it is the Shah movement. How do you think the police and even the DSS and NIA can handle this?
Well, it lies basically on the police. And to an extension, maybe the DSS. NIA has no business because it's an internal something. I think what happened yesterday at Wuse Market was lack of supervision and coordination, because the eyewitness account stated that.
You don't think intelligence? Because it looks like the police were caught napping.
The police officers had prior intelligence from Saturday. Most of the police vehicles and personnel and officers were by Begad Bridge and other adjoining areas like Zone 6. That is to tell you they had privileged intelligence, but the manpower was also lesser, because if you see the crowd of the Islamic movement members that came out, and you know they put something in the bottle that blows like a bomb. That was what made those 3 vehicles to get burnt, and they killed 2 police officers. In fact, one eyewitness account alleged that they even disarmed a police officer and took his AK-47. Then again, they were having dangerous matches. So the way forward is You know, right from Zaria, when they had a clash with the military, it has been like that.
All right.
Let's also look for a way of sitting down on the round table for also the IMM members to know that it doesn't pay to take the lives of our security agencies.
It's a fine place for us to leave it. Salihu Dantata Mahmoud, a delight speaking with you. I'm hoping that we can have this conversation again.